Joining me now is Pennsylvania Secretary of the Commonwealth, Al Schmidt, who during the 2020 election was Republican Philadelphia City Commissioner. Secretary Schmidt, nice to have you back. What is at the root of this? Why doesn't Pennsylvania begin the processing of received ballots before Election Day?
State law in Pennsylvania doesn't permit our county election officials to begin processing those mail-in ballots until 7 a.m. on election morning. So plenty of other states, red and blue alike, allow that process to begin days, if not weeks in advance, so you know the results earlier. Pennsylvania, we don't have that. It's a technical problem with a technical solution that has not been addressed since 2020.
It might be technical, but is it deliberate? Right? I mean, in light of 2020, you'd think that the Commonwealth, the legislature, would have addressed this. They haven't. Do you think there's a deliberate effort here to allow this process to play out so that some can sow discord and spread disinformation?
Mail-in ballot pre-processing has been a part of a number of pieces of legislation coming out of our Democratic House and our Republican Senate. It's typically coupled with any number of other election changes that are not acceptable to the other party. Our Democratic House recently, just a couple months ago, passed a clean pre-canvassing, pre-processing bill that, if the Republican Senate took it up or had taken it up, would alleviate this issue.
So I wanted to talk about this today, well in advance of the election, so as to put on people's radar screen all across the country that the prospect exists that we might not know the winner of Pennsylvania on election night. We might not therefore know the winner of the election on election night, but that's okay. It's in the normal course of business. You, of all people, remember well what happened 4 years ago. I'm going to put on the screen something that then President Trump said about you via Twitter. A guy named Al Schmidt, that would be you, a Philadelphia commissioner and so-called Republican, Rhino, is being used big time by the fake news media to explain how honest things were with respect to the election in Philadelphia. He refuses to look at a mountain of corruption and dishonesty. We win. How worried are you that he'll do it again, and what is being done to prevent it?
Well, we work very closely with our county partners. Elections in Pennsylvania are really run at the county level, and then they certify the results up to the Pennsylvania Department of State. So we're working hand in hand with them to make sure that this process can proceed as expeditiously as possible while maintaining the integrity of it all. Counting millions of votes takes time. It has always taken time. It's just different in Pennsylvania because that process can't begin earlier like it can in other states.
How concerned are you? You heard my setup. I'm a lifelong Pennsylvania. I'm worried about what's to come. Are you?
Well, I've been involved in election administration for a long time, and anyone involved in election administration worries about everything. There are no redos, there are no do-overs when it comes to elections. They always have to be perfect, and it's important that we do our part in election administration and really, are hopeful that people on the outside, candidates and campaigns, are respectful and responsible in the information that they share and not sow distrust in an effort to undermine confidence in the results.
What's the prospect that in the next 59 days, pre-canvassing, the rules that apply will be changed by the legislature and alleviating some of the concerns that you and I are discussing?
I can't really predict that, but what I do know is that it's very rare that you have changes to the election code in our state or any other very close to Election Day, because people get the impression it's being done to try to advantage one party or candidate or the other, when in this case it's really not.
Okay, so final question. We're 2 months out. In your capacity as Secretary of the Commonwealth, what's the message, if any, that you'd like to deliver to the nation about the way Pennsylvania counts its ballots? What should we file away so that on that election night in 59 days, we remember that we heard Al Schmidt?
I think it's important that everyone be mindful of what you've discussed, that our state is a little bit different than many others. And voting by mail, which is still new to Pennsylvania, it's been very widely accepted. It's a great method for people who especially find it difficult to make it to the polls in the 13 hours on Election Day, that people be patient and that we understand that our election workers at the county level are working night and day, literally around the clock, to count your votes so that you can have your voice heard.
Okay, and the way that I would say it is that if it's late on election night and you're looking at Wolf or you're looking at John King in front of the magic wall and they're saying we can't call Pennsylvania, relax. It's perhaps within the normal course of events. Secretary of the Commonwealth Al Schmidt, thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Michael.